Magic Emperor Chapter 882. However, reality didn't go as planned when his son vanished, and since this job couldn't be left half done, Zhuo Fan was forced to shoulder the burden himself. In this ironic situation, he reluctantly had to play the role of caregiver instead of Gusantum. Sitting at the table with a bored expression, Zhuo Fan kept yawning and staring at the beautiful woman lying motionless on the bed. Every now and then, he would step over to check her pulse to monitor the situation and see when she might finally wake up. But the weird thing was, even though her wounds were clearly healing, she showed zero signs of waking up anytime soon. Zhuo Fan frowned suspiciously and fed her a few more high-grade pills, but the results stayed exactly the same. After 3 long days, the woman was still out cold in a deep sleep. However, Zhuo Fan didn't exactly have the same level of patience as Gu Santon. He paced restlessly around the room, occasionally glancing at the bright sky outside but seeing no one. Not only were there no people, but even the tiniest creature was nowhere to be seen. He grumbled angrily, "I have no idea where that kid went, vanishing without a trace like that." Before this, he always said father and son would never be apart and would always stick together. But what about now? It's only been a few days, and he already wanted to ditch me immediately. He's been gone for 3 days straight without coming back. What an unfilial brat. Fuming, Zhuo Fan paced the room, glancing at the woman on the bed before finally pointing a finger at her and snapping, "Hey Lei, I've put everything into healing you, so why are you still just lying there refusing to wake up? I'm warning you, if you don't open your eyes soon, I'm going to punish you right now." However, the only response to his anger was the calm face of the girl lying still on the bed. In this stifling atmosphere, Zhuo Fan had nowhere to vent his frustration. Because he'd been babysitting this woman for the past 3 days, he couldn't get anything done, and he couldn't even focus on his cultivation for fear she might suddenly wake up. After wasting 3 days like that, his patience had finally hit its breaking point. He wasn't exactly a chivalrous guy and didn't have any rules against hitting women, but right now, he was carrying the title of a father. He needed to save face in front of his son and couldn't just go around laying hands on women or children. Otherwise, the good guy image he'd worked so hard to build would be completely trash. As a father, he absolutely couldn't leave any bad impressions on his kid. So, with a sneaky look, he checked his surroundings to make sure the kid hadn't come back yet. Feeling safe, he flashed a devious grin, approached the bed to look at her face, and rubbed his hands together saying, "Miss, don't blame me, I'm only doing this for your own good. Who knows, maybe a little roughing up your face will snap you out of it. Even if you don't wake up, this will at least help me vent my anger. It's a win-win for both of us, right?" Zhuo Fan gave a cold laugh, readied his hands, and wound up to deliver a hard slap to the girl's face. Of course, he wasn't using full force and just wanted to vent his frustration otherwise. He would have aimed for more lethal spots. A light breeze blew through, making her black hair flutter slightly. If these slaps landed, her face would definitely be marked with huge handprints. Just as Zhuo Fan's hand was about to make contact, the woman's eyes snapped open. Her gaze locked onto Zhuo Fan with pure fury. Zhuo Fan froze for a second, his hand still hanging in mid-air. Suddenly, the woman lunged, grabbed his wrist, and slammed him onto the bed. Immediately after, she pinned him down and asked in a chilling voice, "Who did you say you wanted to hit?" Since the woman hadn't shown any killing intent, Zhuo Fan had let his guard down and allowed her to toss him onto the bed. Ow. He was lying there pinned down by her aggressive hold. He looked at her beautiful face and asked suspiciously, "Just when did you wake up for it to be this perfect?" "Actually, I've been awake since yesterday." The girl scoffed, looking at him with anger and sarcasm. "I bet you're feeling pretty annoyed that you didn't get to lay a hand on me, right?" Zhuo Fan ignored the sarcasm and focused only on the timing of her awakening. Luckily, she hadn't heard what he said to the kid earlier, or things would have been a disaster. However, his plans now had to change. He originally planned to use his role as her savior to dig for info, but with this misunderstanding, getting answers was going to be a nightmare. He kicked himself for being so reckless and trying to attack her, leading to this mess. Zhuo Fan sighed, looked at the woman in front of him, and asked, "If you've been awake this whole time, why keep faking the coma? If I woke up too early, how could I get a read on the situation? How would I know if the person next to me was a friend or a foe? You should know that people only drop their guard around the dead or the unconscious." She raised an eyebrow with total confidence. "A guy who tries to assault an unconscious person like you clearly isn't a good person. If they hadn't faked sleeping for another day, how else would I have seen your true colors?" Zhuo Fan felt awkward, only able to manage a wry smile while praising her wit and experience. "I admit I had some bad intentions, But I didn't expect you to see right through me so fast. I'm genuinely impressed. That's a given, since I'm from the Eastern lands. She looked smug and almost let her secret slip. Zhuo Fan listened intently, but the girl caught herself just in time and shut up. Zhuo Fan was bummed about missing the key info, but he kept plotting. He decided to probe a bit and said, "You're so young yet have such a high cultivation level, you must come from a major clan in the Eastern lands. What's it to you? Are you trying to dig into my background on purpose?" She glared at him, totally on guard. Zhuo Fan realized he shouldn't push it if he didn't want to make her even more suspicious. He quickly denied it and acted scared to cool things down. "I was just trying to pay you a compliment. If you don't want to talk about it, I won't ask again." The woman gave him a look of pure contempt and stayed silent. Knocked. Knocked. Just as the tension was peaking, a sudden, frantic knocking came from the front courtyard. Zhuo Fan was startled and felt extremely suspicious. They'd just arrived in the city, so there was no way any acquaintance could have found them this fast. Could it be that kid coming back? Knowing his personality, he probably stirred up some trouble outside again. "Freeze. Don't move." Hearing the noise, the woman seemed even more tense than Zhuo Fan. She tightened her grip on his neck, causing him immense pain. Zhuo Fan was joking and frantically signaled for her to loosen up so he wouldn't get strangled to death. "Even if you die, a guy like you wouldn't be missed. You planned to attack me while I was out, so getting punished by me now is exactly what you deserve." She coldly ignored his pleas and focused on the knocking outside. Zhuo Fan knew she didn't actually want to kill him, because he could have fought back earlier if necessary. Still, being pinned down like this was really not a good look. If his son walked in and saw this, his fatherly authority would be totally gone. Zhuo Fan had to back down and remind her that he was the one who saved her life and treated her wounds. She frowned, seemingly weighing her options carefully. After a moment of hesitation, she slowly let go of his neck. "I get it. However, trying to hit me earlier shows you're not a good person. But since you went out of your way to use pills to heal me, I'll count that as saving my life. I'll let you go, but you have to stay quiet and don't move. Got it?" Zhuo Fan nodded frantically and covered his mouth with his hand to promise absolute silence. Seeing that, the woman finally let go. "Dad, someone's knocking. Do you want me to go open it?" Right then, Santum returned after 3 days and stepped into the room to ask for Zhuo Fan's opinion. However, the scene before him left the kid completely stunned and speechless. This situation was seriously easy to misinterpret. Zhuo Fan was lying on the bed pinned by a strange woman, whose hands were still resting on his chest. In reality, she had just let go, and hadn't had time to pull back yet. But Santum didn't know the full story, so he got the wrong idea, and looked at his father with pure disdain. "So these are the interesting things you're always talking about, Dad. I don't really get this, so have fun with whatever you're doing." With a deadpan face, Santum turned around and left the room to go open the gate. What did that kid mean by that? The girl frowned, and looked blankly at Zhuo Fan lying beneath her. Zhuo Fan felt awkward, and blurted out that she seemed to have even less life experience than a kid. "Don't you see how easy it is to misunderstand the position we're in right now?" Easy to misunderstand. The girl re-examined their posture, and finally realized the problem. Her face turned beet red with embarrassment, and she screamed, "What the hell is going on? Why are you in my bed? Get out of here right now."